Not so long ago, when I was still studying business management and economics at university, quite early on, I was introduced to the idea that there might be such a thing as a homo economicus, a rational, effective, machine-like human being that doesn't have any feelings or emotions, but works purely on rationale. And when I heard this, I had to laugh, because it didn't make any sense to me. Because I thought, I'm a human being and I have feelings, I have emotions, I care for other people, and sometimes I even act completely irrationally. So why am I being proposed with this concept? One of my marketing professors, he told me that he had a very good friend, and this man was working in the sales department of a large company. And when this man was at work, he would be the prototype of a homo economicus. Every negotiation, every transaction was completely rational. He would count every cent and not consider any emotions in his work. But the second this man left the company and went outside on the streets, it was as if his personality changed and he would become someone completely different. He would go through the shops, buy things here and there, make decisions that were completely irrational, say things that were not even thought about. And then it dawned on me and I understood something. I understood that the relationship we have with our environment has a very, very big influence on the state of our mind, on our feelings, and on the way we behave and on the way we act. So, if we are working in a company which has the old way of doing business, called business is the business of business, and profit is at the bottom line of everything, if we are working in a company like that, then it's only normal that this context will also change the way we are as humans and make us to become rational in order to fulfill the objectives of this company, which is to make profits. I also learned at university that it's actually a good thing to be egoistic, because if I'm egoistic and I only think about myself and my needs and not about anyone else, I create positive spillover effects for other people, for the environment, for the economy, and for the society. But also I thought, there's something wrong with this. It reminded me of the logic of Goethe's play called Faust, the Tragic, where the devil Mephistopheles comes to Faust and says, I am that force which eternally wants to do evil, but eternally ends up doing good. So it seems strange to me. And a friend of mine, he was doing a master's degree in economics, and in the beginning of his degree, there were 170 students, and they told them, only 70 of you will have the degree in the end. 100 will not make it through the end. So there was a lot of pressure. This university was using competition as the means to motivate the students to achieve their best, and also to filter that only the best students arrive at the end. But there's more to the story, because this also teaches something very important to the students. First of all, it instills a fear in them, a fear that if they share their notes or information or understanding with a colleague, this colleague might profit from that, and it will be to my disadvantage, and because he might get the place and I not. So I'm not going to do it. I'm going to close myself up, and I'm going to just work for myself. And this is the problem that happens when we say that competition is the only and the best factor to motivate people and to run the markets. But the story of winners and losers, it's a very ancient story, and all of our society, we have hundreds of years of history of this battle between two armies, where there can only be one winner. It is the principle of either or. Either I win or you win. It's very simple. It is the principle, either you are with me or you are against me. And the way it works is, I feel good, I am strong, if you feel weak and if you are down. And this has been going on for hundreds of years, and it is passed on in businesses by the simple notion, the business of business is only to do business, and the social responsibility of a business is just to increase shareholders' profits. But even more, it is also implanted in our society on other levels. For example, sporting events. And now, I don't want to say anything against football, but remember, when you watch the match tonight, there are two teams, and there can only be one winner and one loser. There cannot be, it doesn't make any sense that Chelsea and Porto suddenly both start dancing on the football field and they both win. We would consider that a waste of our time. We don't like to see that. We like the tension. We like the intensity to know that one will win and one will lose. And since we are children, we are grown up to understand that life is like this. I can only win if you lose. So this principle is very old and it's very deep inside of us. And it also, we also see it in our money system, for example, euros, dollars, Swiss francs. The whole global money system is based on the same principle. For every credit that is created somewhere in the world, there has to be a debt created somewhere else on another account. So every time something goes up, something must go down. Every time someone gets money, gets richness, wealth, someone else gets debt, gets in slavery. But during my studies, I realized there is also a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's all not that gloomy. And I found there are new economic models and different ways of doing business. Primarily, many of these can be summed up in the notion of social entrepreneurship, which brings a new dimension into the old way of business, because it incorporates the public, the private, and the government. It is not just an egoistic approach, but a more complementary approach. Concerning the winner-loser dynamic, I was talking to a professor here at UCP yesterday, and he told me a nice trick. He said, if I'm faced with a problem where there are two parties which are in conflict with each other, I do a very simple thing. I just take a third party, bring that into the conflict, and like this, I dilute the pressure, and I solve the win-lose situation and turn it around into a win-win-win situation for all three parties. I like this idea a lot. Talking about coopetition, which is the theme of the evening, we've learned that coopetition means competition and collaboration put together. And the understanding is that these are not two separate ideas. It is not either competition or collaboration, but it's competition and collaboration. And if you put these two ideas together, you can create a symbiosis and something new and boost both up. So if we take the simple equation A and B, it's not about I have to put A down in order to put B up, but if I compete, I can put A up and B up and boost up together. But the notion of coopetition is nothing new. It's very old as well. For example, in the situation of small farming enterprises in agriculture, if we have 10, 20 private enterprises that are working their land with their limited resources, they can create, and they have created, cooperative structures where they share their financial means in order to buy machinery and equipment which they couldn't buy on their own, but they all needed. So in this situation, many competing companies work together and they overcome the notion of private ownership, where this is my machine and I can use it whenever I want, to this is our machine and we share using it whenever we need to use it. And the limitation is not on, there is only one machine, it's mine, and you're not going to get it, but the limitation is on, there's one machine, we are 10 companies, so we limit the time when we need it, and everyone can use it at a different time. And like this, again, we create win-win situations. So the idea that collaboration and competition are mutually exclusive is false. It is a false opposite. It is a so-called false dichotomy, because actually these two seemingly separate ideas are complementary and can work very well together. So in today, what kind of collaborative, competitive, cooperative structures do we already have? Well, we have a lot, to be honest. Many young people, for example, when they travel to other cities, they don't buy a car, they go on BlaBlaCar, they go car sharing, and they travel with strangers. They make new acquaintances, and they share the costs of the ride. Many young people today that are starting projects, that have innovative ideas, they don't go to the bank and say, here's my business plan, can you please give me 50,000 euros, I would like to do this. No, they go on the internet, they start a project, they make a video, they go on crowdfunding platforms, and then they present their project to the public, and the public says, I think that's a good project, I like it, I'm going to spend $100, I'm going to invest. And like this, the community at large is involved in private projects again. So we see coopetition is actually bringing together individualism and collectivity, and private and public, collaboration and competition. And we see this in shared housing, for example. We have a lot of communities around the world where people share what they have and they bring it into a community to live together. We see it in book sharing. In many cities, there are books just free and you can take and give as you like. We see it in marketplaces which use trading platforms for ideas, for services, for goods, either by exchange, either by giving or by sharing online and in cities as well. We see it in co-working spaces where many companies are working in so-called incubator places together or separately, but in the same place. We also see competition in food sharing initiatives where we say, hey, it's stupid that we have so many big supermarkets and they're throwing away so much food. Why not take the food and share it? Why not use this food for the common good? In cities, there's not a lot of green places, but many people want to grow their own fruit and vegetables, so there is garden sharing initiatives. We have music sharing initiatives on the internet. We have couch surfing all around the world, which connects people from all cultures and gives access, very easy access to finding out many great things about new people in different lands. We also have kitchen sharing. If you want to make new friends in a new city, go on one of these internet sites and sign up. You pay less than a restaurant and you get served great food. And more than that, we have so many platforms, enterprises, social enterprises, open, free enterprises, private enterprises that are all using the system of coopetition. So who are the people leading this revolution? It is still a very fresh revolution. There are many great ideas, but singularly, they're quite fragile still. It is not completely integrated fully into the structure. It's like a new tree which is just growing. The people leading this revolution are the young people, are the so-called Generation Y, my generation. And these people have different values than their parents. They have less fear, they have more trust in human beings, in their capacities, and also in what they can do, and they are willing to take risks. They don't care so much about creating their status by saying, I own this, this is my private property, this is my car, my house, my boat, my this, my that, but they care more about sharing, they care more about connecting with other people, they care more about good relationships, they care more about good communication. These are things which we say are so valuable, we can't buy these things, we can create these things. So our generation, we're saying we don't take our energy by exploiting others, but by cultivating. And finally, we've understood one thing. We've understood that if we share and if we collaborate on a personal level, for example, if I give you a smile and you smile back, I'm not going to lose my smile, but we're both going to be happy. So it's a win-win situation. And on a business level, if I have a company and I share my knowledge freely with you, another business, I'm not going to lose anything. You're going to gain something, and I'm also going to gain something. I'm going to gain free publicity. I'm going to gain trust in the market. So we learn step by step that it is possible to share and to collaborate and to compete. It is a more holistic approach. And my wish for tonight is this. The young people of today, they understand many things and they see many things, and they are not quite landed yet and have not quite fully developed everything yet, because it's very fresh, a fresh evolution which is happening in the economical system and in the way we do business. And so we call these people the naked feet generation. And my wish for you is that you find a job which does not just exploit you, takes your life, your time, your energy, and then gives you some money at the end of the month, but that you find a job where you can do a meaningful contribution to yourselves and to society at large. And I wish for you that you keep your values, which are very good, very strong, very high, very simple, but also very sophisticated, and that you may find a job where you can keep these values, develop these values, and give back to society at large. Thank you very much.